So these are the steps you need to know as far as it relates to taking the test. What do you need to know about taking the exam itself? Number one, they test 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. You're not going to have a problem finding a testing date and time. You just go onto the NMLS site. You have to pay first. Once you pay, you can put in your zip code and you can pick the testing center near you. Okay? It's not like the real estate exam where you have to wait a couple of months ahead of time. I can possibly go on right now and get a date for tonight if I wanted to, or tomorrow. So you don't have to stress on that. As a matter of fact, when you come to my exam prep class, I'd rather you come without a date. Let's see how you feel. And then from there, we'll schedule your date. But they test 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. Okay? Now, when you take the test, you have to pass the test with a score of 75% or higher. Highlight that. People are getting that wrong. What is the passing score for the NMLS exam? The passing score is 75% or higher. For some reason, people are putting 70. Well, that's what you have to pass for the real estate exam. But for this exam, 75% or higher. Let's not get that question wrong. If you're going to get something wrong, let's get something hard wrong, not something like that. You need to know that. You have to pass the test with a score of 75% or higher. If you fail the test, you have to wait 30 days before you can retake it. Highlight that. That's a test question. If you fail the exam, how long do you have to wait before you can retake it? If you fail the exam, you have to wait 30 days before you can retake it. If you fail the exam 3 times, you have to wait 6 months before you can retake it. Highlight that. 6 months. And next to 6 months, I need you to write 180 days. But they may ask you that in days, not months. 6 months is the same as 180 days. To keep your license current, you have to do 8 hours of continuing education each year. 8 hours each year. So this year, you will be licensed. Next year, you will be doing continuing education. You guys get that? 8 hours. And continuing education has to be completed each year no later than December 31st. Highlight that. When does continuing education have to be completed? No later than December 31st. You can do it anytime during the year. Doesn't matter. But you have to do it by December 31st. Most schools, such as mine, we don't even start teaching it to the end of the year. I used to teach it at the beginning of the year, 3 people. Come October, 40 people. Because people come December, I'm turning people away because people are last minute. You can do it anytime. Okay, but it has to be completed by December 31st. Sometimes on the test, it'll say it has to be completed by, and one of the options says the last day of the year. What is the last day of the year? December 31st. Now, this one confuses people, so listen to what I'm telling you here, okay? Because there's one way to understand it and one way to understand how it relates to the test. They're going to ask you, when does your license expire? The answer on the exam is each year on December 31st. When does your license expire? Answer is each year on December 31st. What does that mean? That means that after December 31st, I have to do this all over again? No. What it should say, so that you can understand it, is when does your license expire? Each year on December 31st, unless you've done your continuing education and paid your fees. Because if you do your continuing education and pay your fees, it won't expire. But on the exam, it doesn't get into that. It says, when does your license expire? Everyone's license expires each year on December 31st. Unless they've done their continuing education and paid their fees. Then it doesn't expire. Get that? The next one is even more confusing. Renewal period. Everyone has to renew their license every year. Renewing, what does that mean? Giving them their money. $330 a year. Renewal period. Renewal funds. Renewing. And you can only do it between these 2 months. They're going to ask you, what is the renewal period? November 1st to December 31st. The renewal period, November 1st to December 31st. Every loan officer in the world, not just here in California, all over the globe, Anyone that does loans has to give them $330, and they have to do it during a 60-day period. Can you imagine their bank account during that 60-day period? Every loan officer in the world has to give them $330. That's what it is right now to renew their license. So when you got your license with that MU4, it was called an application fee. Each year when you renew it, it's the same amount, but it's called a renewal fee. And you have to do it every single year. How long is your license valid? The answer is 5 years. What does that mean? After 5 years, I have to start all this over again? No. Okay? But for the test, it's going to say, how long is your license valid? The answer is 5 years. And then I'll explain to you what that means. But if you get that question on the exam, how long is your license valid? 5 years. Now, what does that mean? That means if you go 5 years without renewing, 5 years without giving them their money, then your license is invalidated, and then you have to start all over again. The class, the background check, the fingerprinting, the testing, everything. Okay? What if this year I got licensed, next year I renewed, that's year 1 I renewed, year 2 I renewed, year 3 I said, you know what, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I'm not going to renew. Your license is still valid, it's just inactive. The next year, I don't want to do it. My license is still valid. It's just inactive. If I go 5 years in a row without renewing, giving them their money, then it's going to be invalidated, not just inactive. But what if I only went 4 years and I said, okay, I think I want to get back into mortgages. What do? I have to do continuing education for the last year, not the last years, just the last year. And I have to pay the money, the renewal fee, for the last year, not the last years. And then I'm back in the game. And that 5-year period starts over again. But if I go 5 years, if you never want to take this test again, don't go 5 years without giving them their money. Got it? So, the license is valid for 5 years. The license is valid for 5 years. If you do not renew or give them their money for 5 years, then you will be starting everything over from scratch. Any questions on that?